All right, my beautiful people, this is ERGJ, Conspiracy Brother here, back with another episode of Propaganda Machine. Actually going to be going through the Michelle Obama, the Democrat National Convention speech in 2016. She just did that yesterday at 7:25. I thought this was rather interesting because I believe that, for some reason, it seems like if you do a speech, any type of good speech, then you get a whole bunch of people to follow you. It has nothing to do with what you deliver. All has to do with the delivery of that speech. So, they used to say that talk is cheap, and I would say that nowadays that talk is profitable. You see a lot of talking in the church and have a lot of followers because they can talk good, they sound good, and I would go as far as to say, I want to make sure that my children go through public speaking and motivational speaking because that's what seems to get people to move, as long as they feel good on the inside if they hear something. But what I wanted to do today is get into propaganda and really find out that just looking at the words that were said, not necessarily the emotion behind them, because you can find a lot just in lyrics, just in looking at words without getting all sensationalized with what comes out of somebody's mouth, but really just paying attention to the words that they use. So we're actually going to go through a transcript of this of the speech and really just kind of look at some things and just see if it's something that we believe, without all of the theatrics that take place with staged applause. When she came out to the stage, they had people holding Michelle signs up, chanting for her, chanting her name like she was the second coming. So I thought it was very interesting. But here's a full transcript. We'll just kind of go through it, and I'll just point out some things that I noticed. And I asked myself, is this true? Of course, these speeches are typically not written by the person that's speaking them. It's something that comes from the party itself, or they have a publicist that'll write out their speeches for them. So these may not even be her words. She just rehearsed them well. I believe she's a great actor or actress as it relates to performing on stage. So here she comes out and says, "Thank you all. Thank you so much. It is hard to believe it has been 8 years since I first came to this convention to talk to you about why I thought my husband should be president. Remember how I told you about his character, his conviction, his decency and grace? The traits we have seen every day as he served our country in the White House." Now that right there is pretty debatable, right? About his character, about his decency and grace. I mean, I think that Obama's a pretty decent president, but I don't know necessarily if I would agree with, how great of a character he is and how great his conviction is. That can be debatable. But of course, this is his wife, so she needs to say all she can about Obama. But I thought it was interesting as well because even in the speech, it sounded like she was doing her own speech, like for her own candidacy. Until she gets on later on, she started talking about Hillary Clinton. Now, the traits we have seen every day as we have served our country in the White House, that just depends on who you're talking to, right? But many people, find him to be scum, find him to be someone that goes against what he said he was going to do as it relates to some of the laws that he's behind, with some of the laws that have passed since he's been in office that he's allowed to pass. So I also told you about our daughters, how they are the heart of our hearts, the center of our world. And during our time in the White House, we have had the joy of watching them grow from bubbly little girls into poised young women. A journey that soon started once we arrived in the White House in Washington when they set off on their first day at their new school. I will never forget that winter morning as I watched our girls, just 7 and 10 years old, pile into those black SUVs with all those men with guns. Once I heard this, I was like, that sounds a little weird. I mean, I know that it happens, right? They got to be escorted to school by men with guns. But just hearing that the 7 and 10-year-old are being driven off to school in black SUVs. If you think about black SUVs, they give us a signification not only just of the Secret Service, but of some covert operation with men with those men with guns. So I guess they needed them to keep them safe, but just the imagery of what you see when you think about black SUVs and men with guns, it's not something that you would want to necessarily put your kids around. I don't think a 7 and a 10-year-old girl. And that's all their little faces pressed up against the window. And the only thing I could think was, what have we done? And that's exactly a great statement. What have we done? We're putting our 7-year-old and our 10-year-old, our little girls, into the back of a black SUV with men with guns. Just the imagery of it itself, you got to ask yourself, what have we done? At that moment, I realized that our time in the White House would form the foundation of who they would become and how well we managed this experience could truly make or break them. I could say a few things about that. It should be your time anywhere. You're talking about a 7 and 10-year-old girl. So regardless if you're in the White House or if you're in the outhouse, these are the forming years of their lives. So regardless of where you are, you connect with the American people. Those are make or break years for their children as well. This is what Barack and I think about every day as he tried. This is what Barack and I think about every day as he tried to guide and protect our girls from the challenges of this unusual life in the spotlight. How we urge them to ignore those who question their father's citizenship and faith. So she brings this up, which is pretty interesting because a lot of people have questioned Barack's citizenship. They also question his faith. Is he a Christian? Is he a Muslim? What is he? He's a mix of a lot of different things. His citizenship. They talk about his citizenship being forged. So they would urge their children to ignore those questions. She said how we insist that the hateful language that they hear from public figures on TV does not represent the true spirit of this country. So this is something that we all hear. A lot of hateful language in our country. They would insist for their children to believe that that's not the spirit of the entire country, I guess. And how we explain that when someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. That's a great statement. I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty decent there, that you want to let people know that your children know not to stoop to their level. And our motto is, when they go low, we go high. And that seemed to be the whole motto of the speech. When they go low, we go high. That was the slogan that came out. When they go low, we go high. This was a hit to the Republican National Committee because they were hitting below the belt. They were stooping to a level of bullying the Democratic National Convention in their RNC last week, where they would really pile on a lot of rhetoric and and content towards the Republican National Committee. Matter of fact, they talked so bad about the Republican National Committee that they forgot to talk about any of their agenda as a party coming that has the potential to be in office. They spent a lot of venom at the Republican National Committee, and this was her shot back at them that you guys may go low, but we're not going to take our time, hitting you below the belt and spilling out all your beans and talking about all your dirt and trash. So with every word we utter, with every action we take, we know our kids are watching us. We as parents are the most important role model. Now, I like this part of the speech. I think that, really focusing on, it's interesting. She's talking about that our kids are watching us. This is a play to every American that has children, and to let them know that their kids are watching them as well. So I thought it was a good tactic to use in the speech in order to really draw in all of America, because everyone can connect when you start talking about children. So let me tell you, Barack and I take that same approach to our jobs as president and first lady, because we know that our words and actions matter, not just to our girls, but to the children across this country. Kids who say, I saw you on TV. I wrote the report on you for school. Kids like the little black boy who looked up at my husband, his eyes wide with hope, and he wondered, is my hair like yours? I don't get this. Bringing up the little black boy, you've been talking about kids, you've been talking about your children, and then all of a sudden you just pull out a little black boy, and is his hair like yours? Is his hair like Barack Obama's? I really didn't get this part. I think this could have been left out. I just see the point of going here if you're talking about kids across the country. You didn't single out any other race in your speech, but you did single out a black boy. I thought that, I think that was a little low. I think you could have left that. I think she could have left that out. So make no mistake about it. This November, when we get to the polls, this is what we are deciding. Now, here's what's interesting, guys. She started talking about, it's not about being a Democrat, not about being a Republican, not about left or right. In this election, every election is about who will have the power to shape our children for the next 4 to 8 years of their lives. So the whole speech is around shaping the children. It has nothing to do with Democratic ties, but of course she's a Democrat, and of course we know that she's going to support Hillary. So I don't get where we're going with this part of her speech, where there's no Democrat, no Republican, not left, not right. If that's the case, then then you're not connected to Hillary to have to promote or sponsor her. You can sponsor whoever you want and still be part of the Democratic Party, and that's just not going to happen. We already knew she's going to be giving her endorsement to Hillary Clinton. So I am you tonight, because in this election, there's only one person who I trust with that responsibility. Only one person who I believe is truly qualified to be president of the United States, and that is our friend Hillary Clinton. So there's a couple of things in here. She says she truly trusts, Hillary Clinton with the responsibility. Now, we have the email thing going on. We have the scandal that went on with the emails a couple of weeks ago, where it's clearly showing that that Hillary Clinton is a liar. But Michelle Obama trusts her with the responsibility to tell the truth. So we can already see a liar coming into office, and but we're supposed to trust them anyway. It's bad sign, bad look. And then she also calls Hillary Clinton her friend. She said, it's our friend, Hillary Clinton. Pointed that out, that she is our friend. Now, you don't necessarily have to be friends to be in a Democratic Party to run together, but she's clearly, notating out here that Hillary Clinton is her friend, the one who is a liar. So her friend is a liar. That's pretty interesting. So I trust Hillary to lead this country because I have seen her lifelong devotion to our nation's children, not just her own daughter, who she has raised to perfection. So Hillary Clinton has raised her daughter to perfection. So I wonder what that looks like. Michelle, have you raised your children to perfection? But you can spot out what someone else has done to raise their children to perfection. What does that look like, guys? How do you raise your child to perfection? I mean, that to me is one of the, is a statement that really did not need to be made, because what does that really look like? Raising your children to perfection. But then she says not only that, but every child who needs a champion. So not only can Hillary raise her child to perfection, she can raise other people's children. This is just insane and idiotic. Kids who take the long way to school to avoid the games, kids who wonder how they will ever afford college, kids whose parents don't speak a word of English but dream of a better life, who look to us to dream of what they can be. Hillary has spent decades along the relentless work to actually make a difference in their lives, advocating for kids with disabilities as a young lawyer, fighting for children's health care as First Lady, and for the quality child care in the Senate. So again, I think this is a brilliant play as far as the speech that's going to be really targeted towards kids. We really don't have a speech targeted towards every other, anyone else in America. The things that are going on right now as it relates to a lot of, the police brutality, the criminal injustice, all the different issues that are going on. It's all about the kids, and that's a good way. So she can get around any of those issues by talking about children. That is an excellent play on the Democratic Party's part to really get focused on the kids, because no one's going to tell you to stop talking about the kids and talk about these issues that we see across the land. So it's all about Hillary being the best mom at the end of the day. She can raise a perfect child. She's concerned about the kids in different areas of their life. Just being a great mom. That's what it seems like. Not necessarily saying she's gonna be a great president, in my opinion. This speech here tells us that Hillary Clinton is gonna be a great mom. But let's keep going. And when she did not win the nomination 8 years ago, she did not get angry or disillusioned. Hillary did not pack up and go home, because Hillary knows that this is so much bigger than her own disappointment. She probably stepped up to serve our country once again as the Secretary of State. That's pretty interesting, that she can lose, nomination for presidency, but then be hired as the Secretary of State. This is how you guys know that this is a club. This is an elite club. When you get up high in the political ranks, if one thing doesn't work out, you'll be hired to do another. This reminds me of the bailout of the banks. None of the bank officials were fired; they were just transferred to different positions, and many of them got promotions after 2008. So it's very interesting here that once you become a part of the elite club, in whatever way that you get there, you are pretty much protected to be able to have one of the high-ranking positions in our country. Because if one thing doesn't work out, they'll move you over to another thing because you're part of the family. You're part of the club. So she probably stepped up to serve our country once again as Secretary of State, traveling the globe to keep our kids safe. There were moments when Hillary could have decided that this work was too hard, that the price of public service was too high, that she was too tired of being torn apart for how she looked or how she talked or even how she laughed. But here's the thing. What I admire most about Hillary is that she never buckles under pressure. She never buckles under pressure. That's going to be interesting to see. That's going to be the keynote for Hillary because if she does become president, it's going to be a lot of pressure that comes her way. And what Michelle is saying is that Hillary Clinton does not buckle under pressure. So that's a pretty good thing. Now, she never takes the easy way out. And Hillary Clinton has never quit on anything in her life. I don't know if you've known her all her life, Michelle, but we'll take that. When I think about the kind of president that I want for my girls and all our children, this is what I want. I want someone with the proven strength to persevere. So what we want as a president is a good mom, a good nurturer. I mean, this is what we're saying here. We're talking about children. We're talking about Hillary, how she's able to take care of them. And I don't know if she's referring to everyone in the United States as children, but her speech is clearly, surrounded around the kid aspect and having a heart for children, which is great. But there's other things that are going on in the world as well. And you're presenting your next president, as a great mom, which is hard to, if you think about it, it's hard not to want to root or vote for your mom, right? And this is how the speech is set up. But I think that there are plenty of intelligent people out there that are saying, well, we don't need a great mom necessarily for our next president. Not that Hillary Clinton, you shouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton, or she's not, in your, somebody that you want to bring into office. But I'm just talking about just the speech itself. It just sounds like we're promoting a mother, which Hillary Clinton is, as our next president, but not necessarily all of her presidential qualities, but more so her motherly qualities. All right, so somebody who knows this job and takes it seriously, somebody who understands the issues of our nation are not black and white. It cannot be boiled down 140 characters, because when you have the nuclear codes at your fingertips and the military in your command, you can't make snap decisions. You can't have the thin skin or a tendency to lash out. You need to be steady and measured and well-informed. I want a president with a record of public service, someone whose life's work shows our children that we don't chase fame and fortune for ourselves. Now, this is interesting. We don't chase fame and fortune for ourselves. And that's exactly what everyone pretty much does in America. They chase fame and fortune for themselves. Your athletes, your entertainers, your politicians. I mean, this is a country that's built on greed. So how is Hillary a person to show our children that you don't chase fame and fortune for yourself? We fight to give everyone a chance to succeed. Now, I don't know if that's true. If we gave everyone a chance to succeed, then we wouldn't have the same criminal justice reform issues that we've had since your husband has been in office. We give back even when we are struggling ourselves, because we know that there is someone worse off. But for the grace of God, go I. I want a president who will teach our children that everyone in this country matters. I wish we could get that president that taught that everyone in this country matters. Not only taught it, but showed it through their actions and through their legislature. This statement here is just totally false. I mean, who's going to teach our whole country that everyone matters? Are we going to start to have laws in place that everyone matters? So you're playing on the matters part, the Black Lives Matter, the Blue Lives Matter, the All Lives Matter. Everyone matters. That might be a new hashtag. Everyone matters. But will we stop the shooting? Will we see, cops stop shooting people and people stop shooting cops? Will we see that if you're going to teach this principle that everyone in the country matters? Matter of fact, if everyone in the country matters, then how come, rich people are able to get off of, particular things in the law, where if it was a poor person who had did what Hillary did as far as his email is concerned, they would be locked up forever. But Hillary, being who she is, says that she's more valuable, more important than the common person. So does everyone in the country matter, or are we saying they matter, but they don't matter the same? I don't know. Now, a president that truly believes in the precedent of our founders put forth all those years ago, that we are all created equal, each a beloved part of the great American story. When crisis hits, we don't turn against each other. We listen to each other. We lean on each other. We are always stronger together. I wish that was true. But when crisis hit, we typically are fighting each other. I mean, the whole agenda seems to be to have Democrats against Republicans, Christians against Muslims, black against white, civilians against authorities. We're talking about, in the speech, you're saying that that we listen to each other. That doesn't happen. I mean, if you're a Democrat and you have a difference of opinion of a Republican, even in your own parties, you guys don't listen to each other. I'm here tonight because I know that this is the kind of president Hillary Clinton will be, and that is why in this election I'm with her. You see, Hillary understands that the presidency is is about one thing and one thing only. It's about leaving something better for our kids. So the whole premise of this speech is about leaving something better for our kids. That is how we have always moved this country forward, by all of us coming together on behalf of our children. On behalf of our children. It's all about our children. All my children. It's a soap opera that used to come on. Volunteering to coach them. Teach the Sunday school class, because they know it takes a village. This is interesting. It takes a village. All of our children. Something better for our kids. This is the whole premise of the speech. It's about the kids. It's about the children. It's about the village, so to speak. Heroes of every color and creed who wear the uniform and risk their lives to pass on those blessings of liberty. Police officers and protesters in Dallas who all that really want to keep our children safe. People who lined up in Orlando to donate blood because it could have been their son or their daughter in the club. Again, this whole premise is on kids, children, sons, daughters. Leaders like Tim Kaine who show our kids what decency and devotion looks like. Leaders like Hillary Clinton who have the guts and grace to keep coming back and putting those cracks in the highest and hardest glass ceiling until they finally break through, lifting all of us along with her. What glass ceiling does Hillary have to get? She's been pretty much given, a lot of her opportunity as with having a Clinton name. This is the story of our country. This story has brought me to the stage tonight. The story of generations of people who felt the lash of bondage. Look at this. The lash of bondage, the shame of servitude, the sting of segregation, who kept on striving and hoping and doing what needed to be done. Generations of people who have felt the lash of bondage. This is the story of our country. Generations of people who have felt the lash of bondage, the shame of servitude, and the sting of segregation. This is the story that brought her to the stage. It's the story of generations of people who felt the lash of bondage, the shame of servitude, and the sting of segregation. But they just kept on going. So that today I wake up every morning in a house that was built by slaves. This is the most strangest, weirdest part of this speech. She goes from all of that with Hillary to talk about how she's gotten to where she's got, basically off the backs of generations of people who felt the lash of bondage, who've been beaten, who had the shame of servitude, who have to serve others, had the sting of segregation. They were kept from certain things or certain luxuries in life, but they had to keep on striving. Now, I don't know if Michelle has had to go through that, the lash of bondage or the shame of servitude, the sting of segregation. But that's what she's talking about in her story. And then she comes down to all of that coming into the house, the White House, that she is in with her husband being built by slaves. There is some shame in that as a Black person, that you're in that house built by slaves, but you haven't passed any laws to really help or to really bring forth the movement of African Americans. I think that's interesting. Why is this even in this pitch or in this speech? I don't know, but the house that was built by slaves. And I watched my daughter, two beautiful, intelligent Black young women, play with the dog on the White House lawn. So they're playing with the dog on the White House lawn. This White House was a house that was built by slaves. I wonder if their 7 and 10-year-old or their daughter knows this. What does that really mean? What does that signify? I mean, when you start talking about generations of people, this is what brought you here. You didn't go through it, but you benefited off of it. People who have who felt the lash of bondage, who had the shame of servitude and the sting of segregation. And they just had to keep on striving and keep on hoping, doing what things that need to be done. And because of Hillary Clinton, my daughters and all of our sons and daughters, my daughters, all sons and daughters now take for granted that a woman can be president of the United States. Don't let anyone ever tell you that this country is not great, that somehow we need to make it great again, because this right now is the greatest country on earth. As my daughters set out on the world, I want a leader who is worthy of that truth, leader worthy of my girls' promise and all of our kids' promise, leader who will be guided every day by the love and hope and possibly big dreams that we all have for our children. It's all about the kids. In this election, we cannot sit back and hope that everything works out for the best. We cannot afford to be tired or frustrated or cynical. Hear me. Between now and November, we need to do what we did 8 years ago and 4 years ago. We need to knock on every door. We need to get out every vote. We need to pour out every last ounce of passion to elect Hillary Clinton as the President of the United States of America. Let's get to work. Thank you, and God bless. So, guys, I just really wanted to go through that and just read that without all of the theatrics and let you kind of get a voice or hear it for yourself. There's a lot of strange things, I think, in the speech, because the speech is clearly targeted toward the premise of do it for the kids. It's all about the children. And, and guiding and leading them and protecting them along the way. We just had some strange spots in the speech. She started talking about servitude in the house of slaves. I mean, that really just throws you off. This thought of her 7 and 10-year-old piling into the back of a Black SUV with men, all with those men with guns. I don't know. That just gives me a bad idea. Just the picture of it, the imagery of it just doesn't even sound good. But this is Michelle Obama's speech. Obviously, she didn't write this speech. She spoke it, but I don't think that it's genuine at all. She does have some points in it that I like, but overall speaking, it's just another speech. Just another speech to try to garner some votes. I'm not sure if we'll see anything come from it as far as real activity, because we're on to the next day in the Democratic National Convention. So we'll see who speaks today and how much more rhetoric we'll get from that party. At any rate, it's the curiosity that's going to lead you to the truth, guys, and it's the truth that'll set you free.